Hello and welcome back to the channel. Ed Paget here. Now if you have a scoliosis, you may well have a rib hump. And a rib hump can be on the right hand side if it's a dextroscoliosis, meaning the curve goes to the right, or it could be on the left hand side if it's a levoscoliosis, meaning the curve goes to the left. In this video I'm going to show you different strategies for actually moving those ribs forward and potentially decreasing that curve. So how do we get those ribs to be pulled forward and get you back into alignment? Well, the spine is a 3D structure, so you can't just go after rotation. You have to consider the side bending aspect as well. So if this is someone's spine, you're looking at them from the front, we need to try and straighten that up. And I cover that in other videos where I'm taking a hand up over the side or leaning down this way or taking the head to one side. All those things will be top-down influences for a side bending curve. Now, when the spine bends like this, so if you're looking this way around, you're looking at someone from behind, the ribs will also rotate. Okay, so I'm bending to the left here and I'm rotating to the right. So this person would have a rib hump on their right side. And that is the most common thing to have when you have a reverse S-shaped curve. There's going to be a curve here like this and a rib hump here, and there'll be another curve on the bottom as well. This spine, the one I'm using here, this model, tends to only really like a reverse C-shaped curve. So in this case, it will be just one rib hump here. So we want to pull those ribs forward, and we can do that from the bottom up or the top down. From the bottom up, we're going to use the arm and the shoulder blade. Okay, that's going to move the rib cage and pull them forward. And from the top down, we can actually influence the way it is from the ribs. From the pelvis up into the ribs. But I want to show you something here. Imagine this. Here's you from the side. The ribs are pointing backwards like this. Okay, so here is the rib hump. They're back like this. Now, if I were to step forward, I would actually make the angle between this lower rib that's pointing towards the right and the pelvis worse. You see, I've actually made that worse. If I was to step forward with the left leg, I would actually line them all up. And so from the bottom up, we have two choices. We can step forward with the same side leg, the same side as the rib hump, potentially make some of the lower ribs worse, the angle worse, but if we keep going and going and going, it's going to pull these ribs forward. Or we can step forward with the opposite leg and line up from the bottom up. Depends what the goal is. But today we're going to talk about top-down strategies mainly, a little bit of bottom up. So historically, what I've done is I've always said to people, well, let's take a resistance potentially in the right hand. This is for a right rib hump. Position yourself, whatever position is correct for your second curve. So let's say if you have a reverse S curve, you will want to potentially lift a little bit on your left foot, put a lift under there, and maybe put your right foot forward. Now here, we want to push this arm forward, okay? And this is a shoulder motion, nothing fancy here, just shoulder motion. And then we want to use the core muscles to actually take the ribs forward, but we don't want to move the hips, okay? If you do that, you're doing too much. We just really want to take the arm and then work on the ribs here. But you may have noticed that when I push my right arm forward, I'm also pulling my left arm backwards. So essentially, I could take a similar resistance or a lighter resistance. It doesn't really matter. I've just simply got a column here, and I've attached a strap around the middle and anchored all my resistance on there. So if I was going to do this, it would be the same as me doing this. So I could actually just pull backwards here just a little bit. And you can see if I'm pulling here with my right foot forward, that's great for a reverse S curve. But if I wanted to do a C-shaped curve or a reverse C curve, I would have my left leg forward. But then I could probably step into that as well. So I could pull like this. And maybe I could actually push with this hand. So we can start getting a bit more dynamic movement here. Now for some of you that may be too much. You may have back pain, you may not have that mobility. But what you could do potentially is think, okay, well, if this is the position I want to end up in, can I make that even sort of more pronounced by pulling my arm back and potentially moving my pelvis. So you have a top-down rotation here, pushing these ribs on the right-hand side forward, pulling the ribs on the left-hand side backwards, maybe even get this hand moving, and then I can actually accentuate some of that with my pelvis. So in this case, I will be taking my pelvis the opposite way, to the right. Okay, so that's one way of adding in a step whilst pulling, but you can also add in a step when pushing. So again, we've got to think, okay, what's the position I want to end up in? So it's like this. So I can just simply step back with my hand, with my foot here, and I can step and push at the same time. Step and push at the same time. Always thinking about how is this influencing my ribs. It's not a shoulder exercise. Okay, it's a sort of a core exercise. From the front, I'm using my abdominal muscles, and my back, I'm using my back muscles. This hand, don't be distracted by that. That does nothing. It's this that's important. And you can also, let's say my rib hump is on the left-hand side, and I want to move those upper ribs this way. You can also take the hand across your body as well. And you can see how that pulls my ribs forward. If I show you that from the side here, so watch these ribs here, they're being pulled forward. If I pull the arm across, okay? So that's just another way of doing it. You can pull the arm across, you can pull the arm backwards, or you can push the arm forwards. All of those are going to move the rib hump forward on one side. Now it gets a little bit more complicated if you've got an S-curve, because you don't want to take that movement too far down, because otherwise it could end up making the rotation in the S-curve worse. These are definitely easier to do on a C-shaped curve, be it C-shaped right, C-shaped left, called Levoscoliosis or Dextroscoliosis. But you can apply this to your specific situation and really concentrate on moving those ribs to correct that rib hump. I'm going to wrap this video up now. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, but also click on that notification bell and send my channel to a friend who you think will enjoy this content as well. Thank you so much for doing those things. Your support makes a huge difference. Also, if you have scoliosis, I want to tell you about the amazing community we're building over on Facebook. I'd like you to join our group, which is where a lot of the action and interaction with my community actually happens. So just follow the link in the description below or in the first pinned comment and join the group. Stay tuned for my next video, which will be up soon. See you next time.